إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح
The Sudanese Tijaniyya. This is a new episode, dear audience, as part of the series of documentaries that tries to bring the Sudanese Sufi orders into light, starting from French Sultanate to the present day. So, in our episode today, a very important, significant and influential tariqa that has participated in shaping the Sudanese Islam from a side and the evolution of Tasawwuf from another side. So before handling the history of the arrival of this tariqa into Sudan with its pioneers and contributions, here just I would like to present some notes about the birth and the history of Tijaniyya as a Sufi order in the Islamic world. The Tijaniyya is a Sufi tariqa originated in the Maghreb, but now more widespread in West Africa, particularly in Senegal, Gambia, Mauritania, Mali, Guinea, Niger, Chad, Ghana, North and Southwestern Nigeria, and Sudan. Furthermore, the tariqa has spread widely recently at the efforts that have been led by Tijanis, mainly in some countries in Asia, some countries in Europe and America. The founder of the tariqa is my master, Sheikh Ahmed Tijani. Like many Sufi orders of the late classical era, the Tijaniyya is established around the principle of the Muhammadan path, spiritual method that emphasizes the practice of sending an invocation of blessing upon the Prophet as the means of spiritual realization. However, before going further in our introduction to Tijaniyya, the Sudanese Tijaniyya, here it is just some notes about the founder by Master Sheikh Ahmed Tijani. Sheikh Ahmed Tijani, 1737-1815. Sheikh Ahmed Tijani was born in the southwest Algerian Aussis town of Ammadi in 1737. He was a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad through Fatima al-Zahra, first son Al-Hassan, and later through Mawla Idris, the celebrated founder of Morocco. His father was Sidi Muhammad ibn Muqtar ibn Ahmed ibn Muhammad ibn Salim, a prominent scholar whose family hailed from the Moroccan Abd tribe and whose grandfather had immigrated to Ain Madi, fleeing a Portuguese invasion less than a century before Sheikh Ahmed Tijani's birth. His mother was Aisha, the daughter of Muhammad al-Sanusi. By the way, Muhammad al-Sanusi is not meant here by Muhammad al-Sanusi, the founder of the Sanusiya Sufi order in Libya. She was noted for her piety and generosity. The young Sheikh Ahmed Tijani continued in the scholarly tradition of his family and city, memorizing the Holy Quran by the age of 7 before turning to the study of jurisprudence, prophetic traditions, exegesis or the Quranic tafsir, Quranic recitation, grammar and literature, among other branches of the traditional Islamic sciences. So, at the norms with the scholarly, righteous families, my Master Shaykh Ahmad Tijani has started his religious education by the memorization of the Holy Quran. And in this regard, I would like to say that he had, as his biography writers inform, that he had finished or he has his full memorization to the Holy Quran at the age of 7. So following his memorization to the Holy Quran, Shaykh Ahmad Tijani went further to the study of the Islamic religion sciences, and by this here he read or he studied the jurisprudence in addition to the prophetic hadith. Furthermore, he included also in his religious education the tafsir or the exegesis of the Holy Quran in addition to tajweed. Following all of these with the study of grammar and the study of literature. According to the book of Jawahir al-Ma'ani wa Bulugh al-Amani fi Fayd Sidi Abi al-Abbas al-Tijani by the writer Ali Harzam al-Maghrabi. By the way, the book of Jawahir al-Ma'ani is one of the major sources that provided and introducing the story life of my master Shaykh Ahmad al-Tijani. So he is the writer of Jawahir al-Ma'ani. Since it is a major source that handled the story life of Shaykh Ahmad al-Tijani, has written about his life, mainly his educational religious life, and said, the Sheikh mastered all of these fields at a very young age. This field referring to the study of hadith, the memorization of the Holy Quran, the exegesis, the study of literature, the study of grammar and jurisprudence. So Shaykh Ahmad al-Tijani mastered all of these fields at a very young age, in part due to the force of his resolve. He has very strong self-determination, but also because of the quality of his teachers. Among his first instructors were masters of their field, such as Sidi Mabrouk ibn Buafia Midawi al-Tijani, Al-Midawi al-Tijani, which under whom Shaykh Ahmad Tijani studied the Muqtasar of Khalil. In addition to Risala of Abi Zayd al-Qirawani, furthermore Shaykh Ahmad Tijani studied the Muqaddimah of Ibn Rushd, the famous notable Islamic philosopher. And in addition to that, Shaykh Ahmad Tijani, as we are going to say later in his story life, he acquired what is called the outer sciences or the sciences of Sharia. And by the way, this is just the norms, as I have stated shortly. This is the norms of the scholarly righteous families, that they used to start their education, mainly their offspring. They used to be enrolled them into the Khalawi or the Quranic schools, followed with the study of religious sciences. So following the acquisition of the religious sciences, mainly in its outer forms, I mean here, the Sharia studies then comes to be consulted with the inner or inward sciences. And here I would like to say Shaykh Ahmad Tijani is an example of the perfect wali that has come to join between the science of Sharia from one side and the science of Haqiqa from another side. However, Shaykh Ahmad Tijani's remarkable capacity for learning at such an early age is explained in the Jawahir al-Ma'ani, by the Shaykh on his statement when he said, "When I begin something, I never turn from it." In another passage describing his love for the people of religion, the Jawahir writer, the Jawahir al-Ma'ani writer describes Shaykh Ahmad Tijani, describes him as a youth of powerful intelligence, such that nothing escaped his realization. Thus it was that even after he had mastered the sciences available in Al-Madi and had become by the age of 20, according to the Jawahir, a great scholar, jurist and man of letters, such that people were coming to partake of the knowledge of this newest mufti. His thirst for more knowledge pushed him to leave the city of his birth in 1758. So from early of age he shows brilliance, and in this regard he stood as a great scholar, a great jurist, a man of letters, and because of this people flocked to him so as to be satisfied in issues that used to be addressed by him in that early of age. This is not only here Shaykh Ahmad Tijani didn't confine himself to his own city, receiving that sort of knowledge that already I have pointed above based on Jawahir al-Ma'ani, but Shaykh Ahmad Tijani started his journey and traveling, and in this regard he has toured many areas outside his residence, many countries, and as we are going to see later, he visited Tunisia, he came to Medina Munawwara, to Hijaz in general. So his journey, by the way, has great influence on forming a personality of a perfect guide that has benefited the Islamic religion and the Islamic mysticism to a large extent, a living, concrete benefit is still people gain its fruit. So, according to Jawahir al-Ma'ani, his travels in search of further knowledge, mostly prophetic narrations and Sufi training, led him to stay in several North African centers of knowledge such as Fez, Tilmisan, Tuat, and Tunis. During these years, he received initiation into various branches of the Shazaliyya, the Qadriyya, and the Khalwatiyya. He accomplished the pilgrimage to Mecca in 1774. So, as has been stated here, by the way, Shaykh Ahmad Tijani has been initiated in many Sufi Turuq. Among these were the Shazaliyya, the Qadriyya, and the Khalwatiyya. This is initially at the beginning of his spiritual journey. But the beginning of a distinctive Tijani order can be located with the appearance of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Shaykh Ahmad Tijani in awakened vision. This occurred in 1784 in the desert houses of Abi Samkon. So this is the first narration. The first narration is that The Prophet ﷺ had appeared in public to my master Shaykh Ahmad Tijani, and that is in the year 1784. Another narration stated that the Prophet ﷺ appeared to him in 18s in the desert. So the Prophet informed him that he himself was his initiator on the path and told him to leave the shuyukh he had previously followed. The Sheikh then received the basis of a new wird and was given permission to give spiritual training to the creation to all people in both the general and unlimited authorization. The Prophet ﷺ told him, "You are not indebted for any favor from the shuyukh of the path, for I am your means, wasita, and your support in the spiritual realization. So leave the entirety of what you have taken from all the tariqas." In another narration, it was after the Prophet ﷺ appeared to Shaykh Ahmad Tijani, while he was in a state of awakeness, that he informed his students and followers that the Prophet ﷺ had authorized him to start his work of spiritual training and guidance, and had assigned the wird and wazifa of the tariqah. So what I would like to say here is that Shaykh Ahmad Tijani initially starting his spiritual journey by taking initiation from Sufi shuyukh, but later the Prophet ﷺ appeared to him in public, and in full consciousness he ordered him that he should stop working with the ijaza or the initiation that already had been provided to him by some other Sufis, and he should start from the point that the Prophet ﷺ had met him. He start his tariqah based on the Muhammadan path. And by the way, the Muhammadan path, or what is come to be called in Arabic al-Tariqa al-Muhammadiyya, is there in the teachings of Sheikh Ahmad ibn Idris, is there in the teaching of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Karim al-Samman, and then it is here with the Sheikh Ahmad al-Tijani. So the very essence of the Tariqa Muhammadiyya is that the renewal and the revivalist of religiosity should come to be connected with observation of the prophetic sunnah, giving more care to knowledge, abiding with Sharia, and from this we come to find that the three turuq, the three pioneers, I pointed here to Sheikh Ahmad ibn Idris, Sayyid Ahmad ibn Idris, Sayyid Muhammad ibn Abdul Karim al-Samman, Sayyid Ahmad al-Tijani. By the way, those three shuyukh in our Sudanese context have come to provide and to give the Sudanese Sufism spirit with new energy that shaped and changed the way of tasawwuf in the Sudan, as we are going to see in our discussion having the Sudanese Tijaniyya. The most comprehensive biographical dictionary of Moroccan scholars relating to the period, Muhammad al-Kattani's Salawat al-Anfas, describes At-Tijani as the grounded Gnostic, the root of the Sunnah and the religion, and the comprehensive saintly Qutb. Before continuing, he was among the scholars who put his knowledge into action, the Imam of independent scholarly opinion, among those who combine the nobility of origin with the nobility of the religion. the nobility of knowledge, action, certainty, divine spiritual states, and lofty saintly stations. Such descriptions, although not uncontested, suggest a Tijani's reception among elements of both general and elite audiences. A number of Moroccan sultans have since maintained close relations with the Tijaniyya, most recently funding the restoration of a Tijani's final burial place and main lodge of the Tijanian faith, as well as Tijani's original house in the city, the House of Mirrors, that Mawlay Sulaiman gifted to a Tijani upon his arrival in Fez. The essentials of the Tijaniyya at the last of the tariqas are reflected in the rules which should be strictly observed by anyone who wants to join the order. The Tijaniyya's doctrine. The Tariqa Tijaniyya is based purely on the Quran and the prophetic Sunnah. To describe the Tariqa, we will say that it is simply to rule oneself according to the teachings of the Quran and the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, as always, used to empathize following our presentation and introduction to many Sufi orders throughout our episodes that already we have provided to Sudanese Sufi Turu. Whenever we come to speak about the Tariqa doctrine, here the emphasis goes on to tell that abiding with Sharia, following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam Sunnah, is a doctrine that formed from the way of behaving into Sufi Tariqa. That is because Tariqa itself is the essence. For if you have taken Islam, we say that Islam is the Sharia. Then if you have taken Iman, we come to say Iman is the Tariqa. And if you have taken Ihsan, then here we come to say Ihsan is the Haqiqa. So, to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, following his teachings, which in its very essence is the teaching of the Holy Quran, that is what come to stand as the feature, as the distinctive feature to Sufi Turuq. And in this regard, Tijaniyya is not an exception. So Tijaniyya doctrine is based on following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam Sunnah, based on the teachings of the Holy Quran. So according to Tijaniyya teaching, and here I would like to point out to the status or the rank of Muqaddam. The rank of Muqaddam, by the way, Muqaddam is the representative of the spiritual guide of the Tariqa. And in this case, I would like to say that the job of the Muqaddam and the living Sheikh in the Tijaniyya is only to connect the Murid spiritually with the Sheikh Ahmad al-Tijani and the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, until there is no veil between the Murid and them. And that is indication that the Murid fully should annihilate it in them and have no Shaykh but them. Till then, if the Murid never achieved or realized this status, he is veiled from the reality of being a Tijani. One of outstanding offering of Sheikh Ahmad Tijani is his famous salat known as Salat al-Fatih. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. O Allah, send prayers upon our Master Muhammad, the opener of what was closed and the seal of what had preceded, the help of the truth by the truth, and the guide to your straight path. Established in faith, the Sheikh's following continued to grow. So Sheikh Ahmad Tijani followers continues to grow, promoting him in 18 or in 1215 Hijri by order of the Prophet ﷺ to begin construction of the Tijani Zawiyah that still serves as a place of congregation for the order to this day. Shaykh Ahmad Tijani passed from this world in 1815 at the age of 80. He left behind a firmly established order, the Tariqa Muhammadiyya, emphasis of which inspired many of his later followers to renew and spread Islam in diverse communities, far from the mother Zawiyah in Fez. Shaykh Ahmad Tijani was buried in his Zawiyah in Fez, which today remains a center of congregation for Tijanis around the world. The Sudanese Tijaniyya. As we have stated shortly that the Tijaniyya arrival in Sudan, by the way, has contributed greatly in shaping, forming of the Sudanese Islam from a side and Tasawwuf from another side. That is because with the arrival of the Tijaniyya in 1838, as part of the renewal movement known as Neo Sufism movement that had entered the country during the end of Foreign Sultanate, representative of the arrival of the Samaniyya in 1766 and the Khatmiyya in 1816, followed with the Tijaniyya 1838 in a narration. So the arrival of the Tijaniyya as part of this new wave of change has contributed greatly in infuse a new spirit into Sudanese Sufism. And here what I would like to say would distinguish the Tijaniyya in this particular context is the scholarly scientific orientation. And in this regard, I would like also to inform and to stress that Tijaniyya has provided the Sudanese Sufism movement with great scholars that have participated and is still doing so in the long process of the existence of Sudanese Islam, and at the same time on the evolution of Sudanese Tasawwuf. So great names such as Sheikh Muhammad al-Badawi, Badulib, Sheikh Mudassir al-Hajjaz, and some others, by the way, stand as a landmark as scholars that have participated greatly and contributed magnificently on shaping and spreading, and at the same time dissemination of the true, authentic Islamic teachings and Tasawwuf. And as I have provided the New Sufi movement an episode that have been previously presented. What I would like also here to repeat again, that the New Sufi movement in its very essence is the reflection to what is called the Muhammadan path, the Muhammadan tariqah, in which the emphasis went on describing the Prophet ﷺ as a light, and furthermore focusing on the notion of Muhammadan reality. So since the arrival, as I have presented in the episode, since the arrival of the New Sufi movement represented in the school of Shaykh Ahmad ibn Idris, that is in the Khatmiyya, as in the Khatmiyya Tariqa, with the Samaniyya and with the Tijaniyya, new teachings, new concepts have become part of the Sudanese Sufi dictionary, have become part of the Sudanese Sufi literature and culture. So, describing the Prophet ﷺ as the light, following ﷺ Sunnah, giving more care to science, abiding with Sharia, all of these features and characteristics, by the way, were advent at a time that mark a new beginning to the Sudanese Sufi movement. Regarding the origins of the Sudanese Tijani tradition, there are two accounts. The first claims that Muhammad Mukhtar al-Shinqiti, whose grave is located in the Shandi region, specifically in Harahir, was the first to accept the Tariqa teachings when it arrived in the country. The second account attributed the spread of the Tijaniyya in Sudan to Mawlud Fal efforts in 1838. So this is just two narrations about the history and the arrival of the Tijaniyya teachings into Sudan. The first narration stated that Sheikh Muhammad Mukhtar al-Shinqiti is the first to take the teachings of Sheikh Ahmad Tijani into Sudanese soil, more specifically in the northern part of the country, in the area of Harahir near Shandi. The second narration that it stated it is Mawlud Fal efforts in 1838. That is, the Tijaniyya teachings has found its existence or has found its spread into Sudan. The Tijaniyya spread widely in North and West Africa and entered the western and northern parts of Sudan in the mid-19th century. The propagation of this order in the northern parts of the Sudan was the work of a Tijani missionary, Muhammad ibn Mukhtar ibn Abdurrahman al-Shinqiti, known as Abu al-Aliya. Abu al-Aliya combined religion with trade and traveled extensively. His travels included Egypt, the Hijaz, Timbuktu, Borno, Wadai, Darfur, and finally the Sudan. While in Sudan, Abu Aliya lived in Berber with a Moroccan merchant called Zain al-Abidin al-Maghribi. During his stay, he initiated many followers into the Tijaniyya, including Muhammad al-Khair, Abu al-Qasim Ahmad Hashim, a scholar, a notable, and some of his sons and brothers, and finally Mudathir al-Hajjaz. As a matter of fact, I'm quoting from the two historians, Ali Saleh Karrar and Yahya Muhammad Ibrahim, in their published paper, Mudathir Ibrahim al-Hajjaz, a published paper on Sudanic Africa 2003. So after Zain al-Abidin, I'm quoting as I told from the two authors, Ali Saleh Karrar and Yahya Muhammad Ibrahim. So after Zain al-Abidin's death, a dispute over his property took place between his relatives and Abu Ali, who eventually moved and settled on Harahir Island south of Shendi. There he married into the local people and acquired large landed properties. Before his death in 1882, he had initiated many followers, including Ahmad Aswarabi, who introduced the Tijaniyya to the Shayghiya region and later became the Mahdi's representative in Dongola province. As shown above and as have been stated above, it was Abu Ali who first introduced Mudassir to the Tijaniyya by receiving two ijazas from other prominent North and West African Tijani Shuyukh, namely Ahmed Sikrij, and Alfa Hashim. So here just here the two writers describing the initiation and having the ijaza to Sheikh Mudassir al-Hajjaz from two major Tijani prominent figures, that is Ahmad Sukrij in addition to Alfa Hashim. It was in Mecca 1915 that Mudassir first met Sukrij and received ijaza. Ahmad Sukrij, very famous, very great, prominent Tijani Sheikh, one of the notable students of my master, Sheikh Ahmed Tijani. So Sheikh Mudassir al-Hajjaz has received ijaza from Sheikh Ahmad Sukrij on the teachings of the Tijaniyya. Their friendship was consolidated over years and they exchanged letters on various occasions. He also praises Hajjaz for his endeavors to propagate the teachings of the Tijaniyya and urged him to continue his efforts. While in Mecca, 1927, Mudassir met another West African Tijani leader, Hashim ibn Ahmad ibn Sayyid al-Futi, known as Alfa Hashim, and received an ijaza from him. Our sources show that Mudassir was acquainted with the famous West African Tijani Sheikh Ibrahim ibn al-Hajj Abdullah Niyas al-Senegali, whose branch is known in Darfur as the Tijaniyya Niyasiyya. About the major centers of the Tijaniyya in Sudan, and here I would like to say that Tijaniyya is decentralized tariqa and it is very formation. In Sudan, by the way, there is no only one center that we may come to say this is the main office of the Tijaniyya. Rather, it is a decentralized tariqa. And in this regard, I would like here to quote from Professor Ofahe, pointing out to existence of three major Tijani centers at the beginning of the establishment of the tariqa in the Sudan. So by the end of the 19th century, I'm quoting from Ofahe, the famous historian, by the end of the 19th century, there were three main centers of the Tijani in the Sudan, namely Harahir Island, which was associated with Abu Ali, Khorsi in Kordofan, which was associated with Ad-Durdiri family, Onsli in the Shayghiya region, associated with Ahmad Aswarabi and his relatives. After the destruction of the Mahdi estate by the Anglo-Egyptian invaders and the establishment of condominium rule in 1899, a new Tijani center was established in Omdurman by a number of prominent Sudanese Tijani figures, including Mudassir and members of the Hashimab family. Each of these centers was independent until independent unit with its own head. The first head of Durman Center was Sheikh Muhammad al-Badawi. Muhammad al-Badawi, very notable, very great, influential Tijani scholar. And by the way, we are going to provide him with more presentation in our coming episode. So Muhammad al-Badawi, at Azhari trained scholar, an important Qadi in Berber and Durman during the Mahdiya. And for more information, as I have stated, I am going to provide more information about him, presenting prominent Tijani figures in Sudan. I would like also here, since I'm presenting the history of the arrival of the Tijani teachings into Sudan, I would like also here to point out to the great efforts that used to be provided by the offsprings of Sheikh Ahmad Tijani himself. That is because the offsprings and the khulafa of the main office of the Tijaniyya in Fez used to visit, or they always in visitation to Sudan from very early of time. So their presence and their regular visitation to Sudan from its part also have been participated and contributed greatly on the consolidation and the dissemination of the Tariqa itself. Another important Tijani figures that also has played a great role in the spread of the Tijaniyya is the Egyptian Muhammad al-Hafiz Tijani, a very important, influential figure. And by the way, his contribution also in the Sudanese Tijaniyya is so vivid, is so concrete. Dear audience, I would like to remind you that I'm presenting the arrival of the Sudanese, the history, the arrival, the history and the teachings of the Sudanese Tijaniyya. So just here I would like also to quote from another source, Spencer Termingham, in his book Islam in Sudan. Termingham and scholars who followed his works believe that Muhammad al-Muqtar ibn al-Aliyah was the first to propagate the order in Sudan. An examination of the different available sources shows that this is mistaken. The conversion of Muhammad Wadduli from the Qadiriyya to the Tijaniyya by Mawlud Fal took place before 1837, the year of Fal's death. The initiation of Wadduli meant the conversion of his entire center, Horsi village, to the new order. The story of Waddulib's conversion to the Tijaniyya by Mawlud Fal, who was described by Horsi traditions as especially sent from Fez to initiate Waddulib, corrects Termingham's mistake. The story of Waddulib with the Tijaniyya to join the order, after a lengthy discussion between the two, between Waddulib and Mawlud Fal, Waddulib refused to be initiated into Tijaniyya in the first place. However, Waddulib was ordered through a prophetic revelation while asleep to accept initiation. Horsi sources assert that Waddulib was initiated in the presence of the Prophet and the order's founder. The assertion is in the line with the prestigious status and the position of the Dawalib family in northern Kordofan in the 19th century. The spread and the dissemination of the Tijaniyya teachings in Kordofan and Darfur. The spreading of the Tijaniyya in western region of Sudan was largely connected with the flourishing of the order in West Africa. A Mauritanians known as Mawlud Fal introduced this order in Kordofan. Mawlud Fal was an active disciple of Muhammad al-Hafiz, who introduced the Tijaniyya in Mauritania after being initiated by Ahmad al-Tijani, the founder. Mawlud Fal initiated the famous West African Tijani warrior Haj Umar al-Futi. Hajj ibn Sa'id al-Futi. Following its introduction from West Africa, Egypt and the Maghreb by Sayyid Muhammad ibn Mukhtar and Sheikh Muhammad al-Dulib in 1847, the Tijaniyya tariqa spread throughout Sudan, establishing multiple centers in Darfur, Kordofan and Central region. The role of Sheikh al-Mahid Darfuri, who attempted to bring the tariqa to the Western Darfur region, is also remarkable. This is the view of Ibn Umar Ibadullah, Kordofan University, in a published study or in a published article in the general website of the Tijaniyya with the title "The Spreading of the Tijaniyya in Darfur region." So it is available in the website of the Tijaniyya. So the researcher Ibn Umar further went on to highlight the speech on the arrival of the Tijaniyya into Kordofan and Darfur and said, "The teachings of the Tijaniyya have spread throughout Sudan since Sheikh Sa'id ibn Muhammad al-Amin al-Maghribi, known as Mawlud Fal, arrival. The first person to accept the teaching of the Tijaniyya was Khalifa Muhammad ibn Idris, better known as Muhammad al-Dulib, who lived in the village of Horsi, Nyabara. Under the support of African communities, African groups in Bardab region of North Kadugli, the Tijaniyya tariqa flourished. Sheikh Umar Adam Umar al-Fulani, 1910-1989, constructed mosque, Quranic schools, khalawis, and other institutions in that area. He was the Imam of the Grand Mosque in Abu Jbeha and generous, providing funds for the underprivileged and destitute. Such efforts, by the way, had played great role on the spreading of the Tijaniyya teachings in the area. So the Tijaniyya had established strong social interaction among the tribe there, here in south of Kordofan, particularly among the Fulani, among the Kinanas, and among Awlad Hamid tribes. The speech still for the researcher Ibn Umar Ibadullah in presenting his views on the arrival of the Tijaniyya into Kordofan and Darfur. He went further and said, Sheikh Ismail Muhammad Manga, who immigrated from northern Nigeria with his brother Ahmed in order to perform Hajj and to have their visitation to the Prophet ﷺ, also have their own contributions on the widespread of the Tijaniyya teachings in Sherkela area of North Kordofan. So during the visit that paid by Sheikh Muhammad al-Hafiz al-Misri to the area in 1946, by the way, he taught Ismail Muhammad Manga the teachings of the Tijaniyya, and his grandson Sheikh Tijani Sayyid ibn Umar revived the tariqa in the area, here in the north part of Kordofan. He has been the Imam. Here I'm referring to Sheikh Ismail Muhammad Manga. He was the Imam of Sherkela Mosque for 50 years and has contributed to the Islamic Dawah in the Nuba Mountains. So, very strong, very significant figure of the Tijaniyya. That is Sheikh Ismail Muhammad Manga. participated greatly, contributed magnificently in the Islamic Dawah in Nuba Mountains, and at the same time he played great role in the spread of the Tijaniyya among the tribes of the area. About the spread of the Tijaniyya in Darfur, here just I would like to say, quoting from some historians or researchers in this particular area, Islam in Darfur, based on the Malik school, was a rural phenomenon. Nothing comparable to the urban land traditions of Timbuktu or northern Nigeria is found in the Sudan. Neither are to be found organized Sufi brotherhoods before the 19th century, and they came much later to Darfur than to the Nile Valley. The dominant order in Darfur today is the Tijaniyya, founded in Algeria by Ahmed al-Tijani, who died in 1815. Many of whose branches are linked to the Tijaniyya of Ibrahim Niyas, passed and died in 1886, based at Kaolack in Senegal. The Tijaniyya Niyasiyya is the dominant Sufi order throughout Sudanic Africa. One of the most influential leaders of recent times was the late Ibrahim Sidi, died in 1999, who led a Zawiya of Tijaniyya Sufi centers in Al-Fashir. The present head is his brother Muhammad Al-Khali. In this particular context, I am quoting from Rodger Sisman, Three Ibrahimis, Literary Production, a remaking of the Tijaniyya Sufi order in 20th century, Sudanic Africa, published paper 2009. So, further I would like to quote from the very same researcher, Rodger Sisman. Ibrahim Sidi is the youngest of the three Ibrahims. He pointed out here to Sheikh Ibrahim Niyas al-Kaulack and Sheikh Ibrahim Saleh. And the three one here, he pointed out to Ibrahim Sidi, a Tijani influential figure in Darfur, mainly in Fashir. So about him, it was written, he was born in 1949. This is according to the researcher Rodger Sisman, in Al-Fashir, into a family with long-standing connection to the Tijaniyya. His father, Sidi Muhammad, was the leading Tijani Sheikh in Darfur until his death in 1956. His grandfather, Sheikh Salama, was the Tijani Sheikh in present-day Mali, and immigrated to Darfur after the French conquest at the turn of the 19th century. In his childhood and youth, Sidi received a basic Islamic education in local Quranic schools and from individual teachers, but then went on to study at Bakhtar Ghouda College in Jazira province. For more information, I'm referring you to Rodger Sisman, Three Ibrahimis, a paper that presented among the three is Ibrahim Sidi, a figure to him attributed the existence of Tijaniyya Niyasiyya in Darfur, mainly in Fashir. At the end of this episode, I would like to say that one episode is not sufficient to cover all the areas of the Tijani teachings, putting in consideration that the Tijaniyya as widespread tariqa, by the way, have been introduced and presented by many other researchers. And in this context, I would like to say is that what I have presented of the story life of the founder, my master Sheikh Ahmad Tijani, also is not sufficient enough, and it needs more presentations, more episodes tackling his different views, his different teachings from a side, and at the same time his contribution to the Islamic mysticism. While on Sudanese context, also I would like to say that Introducing the history of the Tijaniyya in Sudan, by the way, also it needs much investigation, it needs much more presentations. So what